transgender comedian was detained at the Toronto airport. She believes that that happened because she overstayed her visa when she was in Canada the last time. Now, this is a British comedian by the name of Avery Edison, and she's been making headlines recently because not only was she detained for 8 hours, she used Twitter to talk about or write about everything that she experienced. And in the end, they ended up putting her into a male jail instead of putting her into a female jail. And as I mentioned, she's transgender. So she started off with a series of tweets explaining that she got detained. One of the tweets said, "Received word that I may be kept in solitary because I am pre-operative MTF, predictable but still fucking terrifying."
MTF, I believe, means male to female.
Yeah.
So you're clear on that. So she's pre-operative. I think you know what that means. So that's what threw everybody for a loop. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, where do we put her? But her passport clearly indicates she's female. In fact, there is a tweet about that. Initial interviewing officer is telling another about my depression. Keep switching he, she. My passport is female, she says, right? Now, look, the guy who's making that mistake, I'm not on him. Like, people make that mistake all the time. They're just not used to interacting with people who are transgender that much. I'm not worried about that as much as I'm worried about how they detained her for all this time and what they did with it.
Yeah, so they detained her for over 8 hours. But I will note, the part of the story that I don't really understand is, her passport says she's a female. She looks like a female. Like, why are they getting into the issue of her genitals? You know, I feel like that's a little invasive.
Oh, definitely. I mean, at one point, they do a medical check to basically, she alludes to basically checking her junk. She says, literally going to jail, actual jail, because they don't know what to do about my junk. Another one, she says, change of plan again. Will be moved soon to Maplehurst Correctional Facility and assessed by a nurse before placed in male or female cell. So she's being assessed by a nurse. Mm-hmm. No, hey, man, cut it out. Her passport says female. Let her go already, right?
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I can't imagine having people examine my genitals and make decisions on which jail I need to go to based on my gender identity. I mean, it's disgusting. So originally they did place her into an all-male facility. However, they got so much backlash for doing so that she was later transferred to a female facility. Now, first of all, the whole issue of her being detained doesn't make sense to me, right? Like, let's say that the transgender element of this story didn't even exist. Why are we locking people away, and why does she have to wait for a hearing because she overstayed her visa previously? I mean, she's obviously not trying to get into the country illegally. All right, she overstayed her visa. Why does she have to spend time in jail as a result of that?
Yeah, it took an awful long time to sort that out, right?
She's not a threat to society, right?
That's an issue. And look, if a couple of guys are confused by her status, again, it's easy for me to say I'm not oversweating that, but I get that people aren't used to it and sometimes they get thrown for a loop. Sometimes they mean harm, but most times my guess is they don't mean harm, they just don't know what to do, right? And I wish they were more sensitive to it, but a lot of people aren't, right? But to me, when you actually put her in a male cell, jail cell, you're endangering her. Then it got to be a really serious issue.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, what happens in jails is no joke, right? And that's not theoretical. And, you know, we've done a number of stories on the unbelievable amount of rape there is in prisons. Now, I don't know that it's going to happen in 8 hours, but she doesn't know how long she's going to stay there. And, you know, she's in a situation where she had no expectation of going to jail. She's not a criminal, right? And she gets thrown into this hostile environment. Do you know that there's more, now this story's in Canada, but in the US, there's more men raped than women raped in the country. Like, one of the most amazing facts I've ever read, on prison rape alone.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So does she have a right to be concerned that they're putting her in a jail in a situation like this where she obviously looks female? Yeah, of course she's got a right to be concerned.
So as Cenk mentioned, this happened in Canada, right? But in the United States, I mean, this is just another example of why it's so important to have laws that protect transgender individuals, because then you don't, I mean, you shouldn't be in a situation where TSA agents or police enforcement don't know how to handle a person because they don't understand that issue. They don't understand what gender identity is, the difference between gender and sex. Like, these are things that a lot of people are very ignorant about. Not to say that they're dumb, it's just that there's a lack of education about this topic. And so if there were more education, if there were laws protecting these people, you wouldn't have to worry about throwing a woman into a male jail.
Right.
It's disgusting. I don't know. I mean, thankfully nothing happened to her when she was there, but it's conceivable that something bad would have happened to her. And I'm glad that she got transferred to a female facility.